many of us face immense challenges in our lives. I want to uncover secrets and principles to building a life filled with purpose, not weighed down by hardship. I'm Kirsty, your host in this journey. Each episode, I'll be talking to different people, sharing their stories and practical steps to help us to design a life that we love. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Life Design podcast. I'm Kirsty Salisbury, and this episode is brought to you by my brand new book. My brand new book, A Life by Design, How to Create Your Best Future Regardless of Your Current Circumstances, is now finished and available for you to read. This story is all about my personal journey of overcoming crisis, my journey of overcoming a sudden brain illness, which took me right to my deathbed, brought me back again, and left me with a body that wasn't working properly. It's my story of the experience that I went through, the things I learnt, and how I learnt some of these strategies for designing our best future. If you'd like to read this book, you can do by getting it on Amazon, or you can also pick up a copy at my website, which is kirstysalisbury.com. But before then, on to our next episode.
And a car jumped off the road and ran us both over. I couldn't speak for a long time. I couldn't recognize anybody. That kind of just started my defiance. I was like, no, I'm going to do it.
Today I'm talking with Ben Clench, a speaker and an author. Ben is the survivor of a traumatic tragedy that changed his life in an instant. In 2010, he was travelling in the Dominican Republic with his girlfriend Jazz. They were hit by a car. Jazz died instantly, and Ben woke up to a life that he couldn't remember. He's a survivor of a traumatic brain injury, and today Ben will be talking with me around his experience, what he went through, what the prognosis was from the doctors, and how he's been able to create his future regardless of his setbacks. Ben, it's great to have you here. Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're from.
I'm from Brighton on the south coast. My journey has been quite incredible. I mean, it's been, riding quite high. And I was doing exceptionally well professionally. And then the accident happened. The accident, I went to see my girlfriend who was working in Haiti in earthquake relief in 2010. And I did my last bit of work, and then I went over to see her for a holiday for a week before I was supposed to return to England and then get posted to work for the Rwandan government for 2 years.
Wow.
But then on my last day in the Dominican Republic, where we were for holiday, we were just walking back to our hotel, and a car jumped off the road and ran us both over.
Oh my goodness.
And killed my girlfriend instantly, and knocked me into the road in a coma.
Oh my goodness.
And I was incredibly, just in front of us was another car who stopped when they heard what happened, and they reversed up to see what happened. And to my amazing fortune, they were doctors there in the car.
Oh wow! Yep.
And they picked me up, put me in their car, and drove me straight to hospital. without which I don't think I'd be alive.
Oh my goodness. So a car came out of nowhere, bowled you both over, killed your girlfriend.
It didn't come out of nowhere. It was a big 4x4 driven by like a 17-year-old guy.
Oh, okay.
He'd borrowed his parents' car, and he was speeding, and just before us, another car was not stopped at the stop line. It was just a bit over, and then this big 4x4 crashed into it, then knocked onto the pavement where we both were.
Oh, goodness. So what was the first that you knew of this? You woke up in a hospital in Haiti, is that right?
No, I am unbelievably, much to my annoyance, my parents said I had to get travel insurance, and there was no travel insurance I could get that covered kidnap cover, and I was really worried about that because in Haiti there were lots of kidnaps for foreigners. I was worried about that, but the £10 I spent on this health insurance, it was amazing. I mean, it when it did kick in, it sorted everything out. Took me to a really good private hospital, and then when I was still in a coma, it flew me back to England.
Okay, so you were in the UK when you woke up from your coma?
Yeah.
So tell us about that. Can you remember that very well? Can you remember waking up?
No, not really. I mean, I couldn't speak for a long time. I couldn't recognize anybody. My mind was blank, I didn't speak, I couldn't talk. It's basically like being born again when I was 27,
Wow. So tell us about your journey. How long were you in hospital, and what was that like for you to get to the point where you knew who people were or understood what life was about?
Well, I was run over on the 18th of September.
Yeah.
In the Dominican Republic, and then I got flown back to England, still in a coma, and then I eventually kind of woke up from my coma, and then was released on New Year's Eve when I came back to my parents' house. So
Wow.
that was like, I guess, 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really long time. A really long time.
I don't know whether it was a long time, but I mean, I was in a coma for a month.
Wow, a whole month.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. And tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today, because today I understand you've written a book, you've just done a TEDx talk, you're doing podcast interviews, you're really helping people and doing amazing work. So tell us a bit about the journey from waking up out of a coma where you really didn't know anything to all the amazing stuff you're doing today. What's been the highlights and what's been the lowlights?
Well, I guess the low points was trying to be myself again, trying to recover me and like what I knew me to have been. And to be honest, a lot of that was defying what the recovery team told me not to do. I went out of my way to do everything they said not to do.
Oh, I love it. I love that so much. So what sort of things were they saying not to do, and what did you do?
Well, a lot of their, talk was about, so what do you want to do, Ben, with your future? And I said, well, I'd really like to go back to Glastonbury, the big music festival, where all my friends go. And I've been going there for years. And they said, no, don't do that. That's dangerous. You'll get into lots of trouble. But I mean, that kind of just started my defiance. I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And they stopped working with me so I could do what I wanted. And they also, I wanted to do another master's to kind of re-embed the work and the knowledge I had before. And they told me not to do that.
Why did they tell you not to do that? Was it too much on your brain?
To be honest, it's because the people were very risk averse.
Yeah.
So they didn't want me to, strain my mind or my head too much. They thought I shouldn't do that. But I was like, I'm going to do it. I've got to do it.
And how did that make you feel?
What, doing it or disobeying them?
Well, both, actually. How did it make you feel to hear these words and hear that you should live this calm life where you don't really live at all, where you're very stable and you don't do things? And then when you chose to break out of that, how did it make you feel? Were you afraid when you're at the concert? Were you afraid leaving the house? And what was it like for you to readjust back into life?
Well, it was, I suppose it was, a bit kind of scary, but it was like I had to do it. There was no option. It was like, I'm not going to just lie at my parents' house and feel sorry for myself. I had to sort my head out, I had to relearn all the stuff I knew before. And if that was difficult, then it had to be difficult, I had to do it. There was no option.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your condition now. So you have a brain injury. Yeah. What about your body? Tell us about where you're at in your health at the moment.
Well, my body, unbelievably, I had no broken bones.
Wow.
All the damage was in my head. Although I got some scars across my chest from the impact and like having a tracheotomy and things like that. But I'm pretty good, and I found going to the gym twice a week and doing Tai Chi twice a week is the only way to kind of keep my body in check and back to as normal as I have been.
Can you remember what you were like before the accident?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Yeah.
I would never have gone to the gym. And I wouldn't have done Tai Chi.
Yeah.
I was like, before my hobbies were rock climbing and doing Diablo and frisbee.
Yeah.
But I didn't do them as much.
Okay. And can you remember much about your girlfriend? Like, is your memory okay before this happened, or is there a bit of confusion around that time, or how's your mind now?
Now my mind is quite good. But I mean, I couldn't remember my girlfriend for 2 years.
Oh, wow. So what happened when you did remember her? Was it a sudden memory, or did that come in slowly?
No, it was literally 2 years after the accident. I woke up one day and I was like, my God, I can remember her.
Yeah.
And I can also remember the name of this person, Max. I didn't know who he was. So I emailed the girl who lived with Jazz in Haiti. And I
Jazz was
said,
your girlfriend?
yeah. Jazz was the woman that got killed.
Yeah.
And I emailed her housemate in Haiti. Her name was Galinda, the housemate. And I said, I all of a sudden, I can remember Jazz's voice and her accent and the tattoo she had. But I can also remember this guy called Max. But I don't know who Max is. Do you know? And she was like, straight away, she wrote back to me and she was like, oh my God, that's my husband. You met him when he came over.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. And he's alive, isn't he?
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Far out.
Yeah. This wasn't a sad moment for me. It was wonderful. It was like my brain was working again.
Yeah. And did you go through that period of mourning and loss for your girlfriend?
No, there was no grief or loss. It was just such happiness that my brain was working again.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I find that so interesting. And so tell us a little bit about your life today. What's happening for you today?
What's happening to me today? Well, I've done. I've written a book. I've been presenting about the book for a long time, and I've just done a TED talk. So in that way, that's great. It's really turning into becoming a story to tell people, and like the way I tell it, people just find amazing. Out of the 20 speakers at the TEDx talk, I was rated number 1.
Oh, well done. That's awesome, Ben. Well done. Was that quite scary to get up on the stage and share your talk?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't because, for one, you can't see the people because of the lights.
Oh, yep. So you could pretend anything.
Yeah. But then there's one bit of my talk where I walk away from the lights, and then you can see everyone. But it didn't really freak me out.
Really? You're not thinking, what the heck am I doing up here? I can suddenly see all these people.
No. I mean, my story needs to be told.
Yeah.
I mean, and the fact that I did the talk and I was voted number 1 is amazing.
Oh, it is amazing. That's fantastic. Well done.
Yeah.
So what do you think is your big message behind your experience and your story? And what are you hoping to do with your experience?
What am I hoping to do with it?
Yeah.
Well, I would love to talk again about my experience, and to educate people. That you might think things are so bad for you, but believe me, they're not.
Wow. Yeah.
You've got to keep going, and my one message from the TED Talk was always follow the patient.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, whoever you are, whatever your circumstances, if there's someone who's, going through a rough time and they need some help, find out what they need and help them achieve it. I mean, that's basically like what I did when I did all those things that the health team said not to do. I followed my own aspirations. And for anyone suffering or is in a really bad place, you need to support them in doing what they want to do.
Definitely. What would you say for the person who's going through it? Perhaps somebody's listening to this and thinking, well, I'm going through a tough time, but I don't have support or I don't know who I can call on. What would you say to the person who's in the tough time? You must have had some really dark times in your experience.
Yeah. And well, I guess with me, I mean, I have a fantastic family who have been with me all through this recovery, and very good friends who have always stood by me. And to be honest, I don't know if I didn't have that, I'd probably be living on the street, being homeless. And, that would be awful, but that would be the alternative if I didn't have the support functions that I've got.
I think potentially we can always go and find some help. Did you have quite a few support workers, or were there people to help you when you came out of hospital, to help you transition back into everyday life?
Well, yeah, I suppose I hired a personal assistant who he was great. He helped me do so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And then on going through trying to recover, you know, I found people that would support me. And that was essential, you know.
Mm.
It helps me take the leaps and make it work. So, I mean, people will support you if you ask for it. And if you have a clear idea of where you need to get to, people will help you get there. If that's what you decide to do.
Yeah, I do believe that. I believe we can bring people around us. We can create an atmosphere of encouragement and support to help us do what we want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever ask, why did this happen to me? Why me?
No, I'm not fatalistic like that.
Wow.
You know, I mean, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you know, I'm alive, and that's incredible.
Yeah. Do you ever wonder if you were in the right place at the right time, and that this was all meant to happen as part of a bigger picture?
No. No.
Wow, my brain doesn't ever shut down. My brain is just constantly working. So, you know, every single scenario, I'm questioning both sides of the story. Why this? Why not this? You know, what can I do? What can't I do? All these different scenarios. So I find that so fascinating that it just is what it is to you. I love it.
Yeah, I can't change it. I would, you know, that's my reality. Is where I am. I can't dwell on that. I've got to get on with it and bring my life back together, you know?
Yeah. So what is it that you want to do with your life? How does the future look for you?
I need to find a job. Really, I do.
Really, you're doing TEDx talks and you're writing books and you need to find a job.
Yeah.
What would a job give you?
It would give me financial security and the fact that I wouldn't have to live off my parents. It would give me the independence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And tell us, you've written this book. What's the name of your book?
The name of my book is Ben Again, the inspirational memoir of a traumatic brain injury survivor.
Love it. I'll put a link to that because I need our listeners to see that book because the cover of it is just, it's very impressive. It's very beautiful. So your book is about your journey from the accident, or does it start earlier in life? Tell us about the story.
No, the story is from exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
And then how I had to literally, like this picture, stick my brain back together, you know?
Yeah. Put all of the bits together. Yeah. So we'll put a picture of that. But for those who are listening without the picture, it's like the brain broken up and it's all been sellotaped back together. Yeah. It's amazing. It's really great. Are there any things you've learned, like any key things you've learned from this experience that stand out?
Yeah, well, I guess so. They would be follow your heart.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to trust yourself and your drives and go for them.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess like my message that you always have to follow the patient was from the doctor in the Dominican Republic who looked after me when I was in a coma.
Yeah.
And he said to my parents, just before I got flown back, he said, okay, I want you to know whatever happens to Ben, you always have to follow the patient. And I'm so grateful that he said that, because, that allowed me to go to Glastonbury. Then I went skiing.
Wow.
I did another master's,
Yeah.
And if he didn't say that, I don't know how my parents would have coped.
Yeah. It must have been so difficult for them as well.
Yeah.
Ben Clench, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience with us, sharing your journey and some of the things that you've learnt. We look forward to having a look at your book and your TED Talk. It has been awesome. So thank you, Ben. Thank you for coming and sharing your journey, and we wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you for inviting me.
So if you've enjoyed this episode of the Let's Talk Life Design podcast, I would love your support to help me get these messages and conversations out there. It would mean a whole lot to me if you could either share the podcast with your friends and family, or if you could link to the podcast homepage over at letstalklifedesign.com. I really appreciate you joining me and your support as I talk to amazing guests on our show. My heart is really that I would be a channel for others to get their messages out there, to inspire our listeners to live their best life and to learn how to implement these life design principles. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll catch you soon, where we'll uncover more strategies and steps to designing that life that we love.